Thinking holistically about solution architecture these days is a bit challenging. And one of the reasons that's hard, I find, when I'm working with different organizations, is that they're starting with a very specific problem. And so you very typically have the inclination to frame your technology options, your technology platforms, and your technology tools within the context of those that are focused on that sort of business problem. And it's not wrong to be looking at those tools, but I find it limiting to be thinking about how you design for and recognize a complete and holistic solution in the terms of those tools. Instead, I tend to find more success using a reference architecture that has 7 different layers to it and that allows organizations to look very prescriptively at their current capability, technical capability across those different layers, understanding their business problem and their objective, both for user experience, for process controls, for data, all sorts of things within the context of those capabilities, and then to design their future state, scope it, and plan its delivery within those same capabilities. So that reference architecture allows you to understand your current capabilities, design for your optimal state, and then develop a roadmap delivered across those capabilities. Right? And so the 7 capabilities that I focus on with organizations when doing a solution architecture for really any enterprise problem um, starts on the top with interface, whether that is a human interface, a desktop browser interface, a mobile interface, an application program interface, but interface, like how is a human or a machine going to interact with this solution. The next is identity or security, and that's the layer between the interface and the application itself that's going to dictate how um, the application consumes input from the machine or the human that's interacting with it, and how the machine or the human consumes output from from the system through the interface, right? So interface, identity, then the application itself with program logic, control logic, workflow logic, anything that's allowing the consumer, the user, to um, progress and process the data that's inside the application, right? So interface, identity, application. The next 2 layers can seem very similar, but I think of them as intelligence, tools that are running analyses, that are running processes and schedules and automation of tasks and automation of data processes, um, sitting on top of integration. And integration is key here in this spot within a reference architecture because it's going to connect a data architecture to that intelligence layer of the architecture to the application layer of the architecture. It also tends to be the spot through which either the process application is integrated with by another solution or across multiple solutions, or where the data is accessed. So intelligence and integration are key critical layers to a scalable infrastructure, right? And they sit very intentionally um, between application and the 6th layer, which is data. And data remains an important layer of our architecture, still going back to traditional 3-tier architecture, because that is ultimately what's going to drive a lot of process logic, control logic, user logic within the solution. The final layer is very important around infrastructure. And the reason infrastructure is important is because as we look at different ways to solve and solution for those other 6 layers, whether it's data, integration, intelligence, application, identity, or interface, we find that different capabilities, different types of tools, solution for those differently based on the infrastructure. And some simple terms to kind of break down infrastructure variations could be on-premise versus cloud, but you've also got hosted versus distributed or decentralized technical capabilities. And how you have a solution that either sits across Web 2, Web 3 style application architecture or integrates and works across Web 2 or Web 3 architectures can be critical to designing the right solution. So in later videos, I want to sort of break down each one of these further and sort of share how to think about the different types of capabilities that sit within them. But overall, I find by using a very prescriptive, structured reference architecture that defines key attributes of a solution architecture, you do a much sounder job understanding where an organization is working from. Maybe they don't need new tools, they just need to use them better. Structuring the needs for the solution that's going to be fit for purpose, and then creating a roadmap to deliver across those different capabilities as you migrate from current state to target state.